Hello and welcome. Welcome to Nerds United E6 PTCS 1 preview. Uh, I'm joined tonight with one of the Nerds United, Aster. Welcome.
Hey, Exto. How we doing?
Pretty good. It seems like your levels I have to pump a little bit.
Okay. Pump away.
Okay, they've been pumped. We're here to pump you up.
Excellent.
So yeah, we're here to talk about PTCS one uh, and all the wonderful formats that hopefully everyone's qualified for. Um, yeah, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I think I've qualified for seven, and I'm trying to qualify in an eighth one with the last couple. And you probably need a couple points in one of the last couple tournaments to qualify for silver, um, which is probably too many. But my first one felt like try and qualify for as many as possible. Have some fun with it, and then from there. Um, So before we get into the PTCS, though, you want to check in on tonight's tournament lab and see how that went?
Sure. If we do this and then do that, then we can hop in and see how we had four bounties, right?
Yeah.
Um, they're in progress. Tournament. Go, go, go. I had a buy in round one, and then my batters were too tired from absolutely crushing the Joe Unknowns that I got swept in round two. Um, yeah, I don't know what happened. Um,
You also faced a very good team, so that'll happen sometimes.
yeah. No, country clubbers were good. They were in PTMS or PTWC. We had them on.
Yeah.
Um, and then it looks like they lost to Mr. Sandwich, um, the Sandwich Futures, from the theme team crew. I'm happy that my two rounds survived batting averages. Freddie Garcia, Cactus Cac. We were talking earlier about this, and I went Diaz, McFarlane, Blue Moon Odom, Duggleby, Orhler, Shizer, and some of the kind of staples in the silver and below, like Robin Roberts and whatnot.
Sure.
Uh, haven't been doing well, but I see you're facing the futures now.
Yep.
You had a tight game. You also went with Diaz. Um, oh, future legend sighting. Yeah,
Yeah, I got a couple on there. I think York hasn't exactly acquitted himself particularly well so far with that 162 batting average, but uh,
just seems really suppressed. Like all the
it pretty much is. This is a
well,
fun
yeah.
card. Elijah Green.
Uh, Elijah Green. Where, oh, it would help if I looked at the right team. So Hernandez at
My
third, Elijah Green in center. Yeah, Herman Long, Ernie Witt, looking good. You're still in it. I'm out to the country clubbers. Who were the other? Um,
Durden lost in the, I believe, third round on the opposite side of the bracket up
yeah.
top uh,
So we can.
uh, to, I can't remember the team, the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, he needs to. He needs to probably not play Robin Roberts. I don't know. Roberts and McNally have both typically are good, but for whatever reason, this format I think um, doesn't work out.
Yeah, they're not my favorite. I think I use McNally, but just because he's so cheap for the format. But I definitely think Robin Roberts, if you're going to spend almost the max points, there's probably some better options. I like um, uh, what's his name, Pedroso.
Pedroso?
What's the guy you're doing? Who's the guy that you're top starter?
Oh, Heliodoro.
Heliodoro Diaz. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm confusing him with someone else. Um,
And then I'm
yeah,
just
I
running
also use
Chappie.
Heliodoro Diaz.
I was running like I guess in general, what the data has been kind of showing is that it's really the home run suppression, but maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I think you need the PBAP too. Um, I mean, need home run suppression, but then I think you either need control or PBAP or some combination of the two, because that's just going to control how many runners are on base on a regular basis, and need to have some method for kind of mitigating that. Um, and then our last bounty for this week was JDA. Um,
Trying to find
uh,
his thing.
I think
Adirondack.
for the upper right hand corner.
There we go.
Yeah, far upper right hand corner.
Ooh, he did he have a? Looked like he had a right team. He lost to
Yeah,
the Bestland Spiders. Spiders? Side purrs?
I don't know if it's a misspelling or a joke that I don't know the
Maybe.
derivation of. But so I don't know Ordinalic, but
They're in
uh,
Discord, so
okay. Well, we'll probably reach out to them because besides the 20 standard packs, they also are going to get to choose their title um, that CWIT and JDA have agreed to refer to them by whatever title for the next week until whoever knocks the best in spiders out will get the title the next time. I guess that's gonna how that's gonna go.
so yeah, so the
Great bronze athlete.
Sid Purrs went kind of just I guess like max value ish. Lots of 60s, lots of 65s. They basically followed
Yeah,
the 65 player on average
sure,
recommendation.
makes sense.
Um, so yeah, let's look at maybe a little couple more of the teams that are still in it. Value City Viffers. They have been on a roll. You've seen whatever this week in Perfect Team. I think uh,
Gold and
it's
diamond
it's
are been
it's like inevitable. The Value City Viffers are just going to show up on top 10 leaderboard or lead a.
yeah, definitely seem to be focusing on those two categories and really doing extremely well.
I'm
Um,
kind of
so
breaking
yeah,
down their pitching. They went kind of Freddie Garcia.
yeah,
Uh,
Freddie Garcia, Bernard. A lot of people using Odom and Zito, and then McDermott. I'm not as familiar with.
it's the tournament edition, so not caring about the walks, but even like the walk rate, I think what is it? 13%. It's not the
Yeah,
worst for like Zito in the small sample size is walking more. So yeah,
sure.
definitely seems to be punting on. I wonder. You can't see how many double plays you've turned, right? From a fielding
I don't
perspective,
think so.
fielding stats. Uh, I don't see it. Oh no, double plays here. Double plays, double plays. So I don't know. Seems like they're running a lot. Bobby Grich was a card that I was kind of looking at, but I've been kind of punting in favor of more range, max range, up the middle. So I forgot who I was running. Yeah, Davis at short, and then Bob Bob Ferguson,
Okay,
who was on a tear and had a 1.401 OPS. Yeah, super small sample size. No pitching stats. So,
Okay.
um, yeah. Back to the presentation.
Sounds good.
Okay. Team double plays, you have to look from pitchers. The fielding ones get multi-counted. Ooh, good point. All right. Yeah. So back to why we're all here tonight. PTCS one preview. Um, but before that, the tournament lab check-in. This is kind of the bounties. JDA is out. I'm out. Durden's out. Aster, question mark, question mark, question mark. We'll find out.
Probably by the end of the stream, we'll know. Would be my guess.
Yeah.
Um, if I lost game 1-0 with my best pitcher against his fourth best, I'm not liking my chances, but you never know. I was actually down 3-1 in round one of this tournament to a team that had 8 hitters and 18 pitchers. So not surprising that I was able to come back, given the fact that all of his hitters were exhausted by game 5, and it was a kind of bit of a mess of the pitching staff as well. So it was odd that I went down 3-1, but to be able to hang around after that start was nice to see.
Basically, reason prevailed.
Yeah, I would have been quite angry to lose in that way. So, I see Sandwich Futures is watching the stream. So good luck to you in the quarterfinals of Tournament Lab. We'll check in and see how that's going. But we're gonna now switch gears and focus on the PTCS.
So yeah, PTCS one formats presented by our good friend Rob James Woods, Dishnet. So here's the slide.
We don't have name, image, and likeness rights for Dishnet, so we wanted to honor the new best hitter in Perfect Team, James Wood, but we didn't have a picture of him. So next best thing was a picture of James Woods.
Yeah.
Moving on from that horrible joke. So a couple of notes at the beginning. The all of the PTCS formats are going to be a 1953 run environment and no DH. So as we're going through this, make sure to keep that in mind. Because especially for the caps, I think it becomes important. So we're going to kind of break this down in separate slides. So we're going to start with the ones that are not caps, which are the low iron, the low bronze live, diamond, and then open OTP era. So those 4 tournaments are going to be straightforward, open of that tier, except for the open is going to be limited to OOTP era cards, 1999 and above, which do include the feature legend cards, and the low bronze is only live low bronze cards. So it's going to be a somewhat limited pool for that 64 and below. And then wanted to spend a little bit more time with the cap formats, because that's kind of our specialty in terms of what we like to talk about on the stream. So the first one is going to be a silver historical cap. Important to note that historical means no live cards, no future legends, and so
it's basically less than 2023, I think.
Right. Yeah, it's
for the card year.
Yeah, and I don't think probably aren't very many peaks. So it's cards that are have a year on it of 2022 and below. So it's a 1480 cap. Just as a reminder, we usually, when we're looking at a cap tournament, we start by figuring out the cap number. We're going to go through the exercise of it just as a reminder, or for those who haven't seen it before. So the cap is 1480. We start by subtracting the minimum that you have to fill, which is 26 roster spots, and the minimum card would be 40. So that's 1,040 points. So that leaves us with 440 free cap points to use. The maximum card in silver is going to be 79. The minimum is 40. So the spread between the two is 39. If we divide the 440 by the 39, we get a cap number 11.28. So basically, what that means is that you can fit 11 of the max player cards, so 79 overall cards, into the cap, and then you would have to put as many 40 overalls as you needed to fill out your roster. Now, in 1953, with no DH, you only probably need three pitchers. We're going to get to that, discuss that a little bit more later, but three pitchers and eight hitters equals 11. So essentially, you can have a starting player at every position, and then maybe a couple extra points to spread around. Or if you want to break up one or two of the spots, the max spots, um, uh, you can kind of spread that around a little bit. Um, and then gold is a 1953 cap, which is just a silly number because as you see, if you subtract 1953, 1040 from 1953, you get 913 points. And you divide that by 49, you get a cap number of 18.6. So in a tournament where you only need 11 starters, you're going to have 7.6 spots to fill beyond that. So, you maybe have a couple of bullpen arms that are half decent, um, just just in case, and then you really can end up having probably like five platoons, which is as much as what you would have um, in a normal open tournament. So, given the fact that it's 1953, you don't need a DH. You're really essentially, doing it as an open format where you also will throw in a couple of irons at positions where they're barely going to play anyway.
Would
So, um,
To me, this seems like it's open for metagaming shenanigans with such a loose
uh,
cap.
not sure what you mean by that.
Oh, like you can, like if you want to pinch hit your pitcher after like three innings and basically like cycle through your bullpen and have like an
Oh
all
yeah,
gold bullpen. So there's lots of creativity you can probably do with
yeah.
with such
No,
a
that's definitely true. I definitely think you can get creative with this, and definitely with the open formats you can as well. Um, is try some things where with this loose of a cap or an open format in 1953 settings, you can go with only two starters and have them uh, you know only pitch like face the first 18 batters, and then bring somebody else in. You can have uh, uh, pitch hitters starting early, things like that to kind of um, you know basics. Basically you can kind of play around with your setup a lot more. We can go into that maybe start to build. Just to give you guys a preview, as once we go through all the formats, we're gonna go through some data, and then we're gonna try and build a gold cap roster. Um, so we'll kind of see maybe some things that we want to try and do. Have some different setups for that. So we go from the uh, loosest cap I think I've ever seen to a pretty tight cap. For the wild card format, is going to be a silver floor 2023 total cap. So min is 70, max is 100. So if we do our cap number calculation, you see we've got the numbers laid out, comes to 6.77. So you're really not going to be able to fit that many hundreds into your build in this format, and you have a choice. You can either go with 600s and then like one low diamond card and the rest 70 overalls, or you can kind of spread it out a little bit more, uh, depending on kind of what kind of cards you have and
with
what
the
you want to do. But
golds. The golds are still kind of over or I guess the best value, I would say, and maybe
Yeah,
some of
I
the
mean,
low diamonds and stuff. So
there's definitely some cards that are gonna punch above their weight in that kind of a format. Some of these new future legends like Tristan Cassis is going to be a guy who's in 87 that probably will out hit a lot of the perfect first baseman, or at least be close enough and save you 13 points. Um, you trying to think of other good examples. You know, Ryan Howard, Jim Tomei are low golds that that hit extremely well. David Ortiz as a 79 will probably hit pretty well. Um, and so so there's definitely there's some options
Mitchell,
that if
but
I'm
Mitchell's
sorry.
Mitchell's a DH, so or you can chance to put him in the outfield if you
Yeah, I mean
want.
you got to be careful. There's some bats that were pretty good, but without being able to DH them, I don't know if you're going to really want to play a guy like Manny. Um, um, I don't know if you're going to want to play a guy like Mitchell would be a questionable, but
Isadafo, are you saying the in the wild card? You think everyone's going to be playing? I guess Blue Moon is a 70, right? So
so he's a floor guy. I'm pretty sure I haven't dug into it yet, but I'm pretty sure he's the strongest pitcher of the 70 overalls. Um, I'm guessing you're going to see a lot of the build the lineup Kenley Jansen, who's only a 73, and should do really well in this format. Or really kind of does well in every format for the most part. But so those two cards I think you'll see in a lot of bullpen for the wild card format. And then the last cap is the weekly dead ball to boom 2001 cap. I just thought it was funny that the daily version of this is a 1750 cap. So, and it doesn't feel like a super tight cap. And now you're getting 250 points to work with. So this one's not quite as crazy as gold, but it's still a 16 cap. So you're going to have 5 extra spots to spread out. That if you want to have um, uh, 4 or 5 platoons, maybe 1 or 2 bullpen arms, you're going to have a lot of options with that wide of a cap.
so uh, error settings must know. So this was from when we had Durden with us, who's still around.
And who we do have name, image, and likeness rights for. We
Yeah,
tricked him into signing that.
yeah. So everyone's sort of seen this slide. This slide gets posted. This is golden years, right? 1953.
Yeah.
So high pitch counts, pen usage, rare but not unheard of. So no.
Yeah. So you can get away with you can definitely use 3 starting pitchers. The I'm trying to think, is it around like 150, 160, right?
Yes. Yeah. Let me take a look at what I've. I haven't actually looked at the data itself, but for golden, yeah, max of 160 is what I put down when I was kind of trying to math this out. I'll probably go back
Okay.
and take a look at if we want to do some stuff live. I can look at
No,
historical iron and
I think as a rough number, I think that's good for just giving people an idea of guys are going to go pretty deep into games. You're really only need maybe five, 6 pen arms because you're only having 3 starters, so you only need like 8 pitchers total. But I do think you know for some of the really loose caps, it'll make sense to have, instead of trying to squeeze in one more platoon, to have at least one solid kind of multi-inning pitcher that you can have come in. Um, if a guy gets knocked out early, especially with the way the engine works these days. There are still a lot of home runs, and if a pitcher lets up a couple of home runs in succession, it will often pull them, even if they're otherwise doing reasonably well and in the game. So you're going to have some guys pulled early on occasion. So you're going to want to have some functional arms in there. Maybe you don't need to spend heavily on the bullpen, um, but you might want to spend a little bit in some of the looser caps, and then in the silver floor where it's a really tight cap, there you're just going to kind of try and get away with the best of the 70, 71, 70 cards to not use up any points, but they're still reasonably decent pitchers at that level. If there were 40 overalls, you'd be a little bit more concerned, but when you're talking about 70 overall cards, you're getting some pretty decent pitchers.
Yeah, I think who's probably the best iron pitcher, like Lundgren. I don't know if you want to spend 15 points on him. And I think if you go further down, there's like Wyckoff and
Yeah,
so.
I mean, there's a lot of the tough thing is some of the best some of the best iron pitchers for a lot of formats are might not work that well for this one. I think you want some of the guys that have good pitcher BABIP and good control. Guy like Catfish Hunter at a 48 would be a guy that I think I'm going to use in a lot of builds, or where I can use I need an iron pitcher because I think he's very strong. Um, uh, Yeah, but I don't. I mean, I think home runs are suppressed in this format to some degree. That I wouldn't worry that much about. Home run, and also the point is, nobody else at this level is going to be, um, uh, nobody's whether you can only spend 8 cap points for is going to be anywhere near Catfish Hunter and the other categories. So you're taking a risk with the home runs, but um, I think that's a risk I'd be willing to take.
Um, so yeah, Bhutan. Okay. Um, so this was something that I compiled back in for PT23. So this is basically every tournament I had and a breakdown of all of it. So even in here, we didn't really have 1953 data. We have 1952, 1955, and 1959. One being the Daily Low Diamond, and then what was it? Gold defensive, Golden Years defensive boom, or was it the gold defensive boom? I forget what that was. Um,
Yeah, Golden Years defensive. Well, the one was a gold. Uh, One was a gold and one was an open. I don't remember which was which. I think
oh,
the one
okay,
that has a lot more data was the open version that played for a while.
right.
Although I'm not sure.
So this is just overall, but when we kind of break it down, uh, and compare it to, uh, albeit it's only one historical iron tournament that we have. So super. Take this with a grain of salt. This is for um, funsy. If we compare the three, there's some pretty crazy differences. So
Yeah,
um,
I mean the biggest thing is that, and if you look at that number from the historical iron of the 4.06 ERA and 4.35 runs allowed a game, that tracks with a lot of the other formats in PT24. Is that's kind of pretty close to the standard for amount of scoring in a game, and so and the primary culprit for that is that the BABIP is much lower. Um, and so I wouldn't be surprised if the strikeouts per nine is probably somewhere in that 5.5 to maybe 6.5 K per nine range. The walks, I mean, 6.38 seems crazy, but with iron cards, um, I can see it being,
A lot of the
a lot of
a lot of the
a lot of
iron
the iron
cards.
pitchers are really, bad control. So
Yeah.
that might be more like the 5.5, maybe even a little lower than that. And then I think that home run number of around one is probably going to be uh, pretty close to accurate, maybe a touch higher. Um,
Trying to
but
find kind of. There's a
yeah,
few
so I mean,
graphics.
I don't think you're going to see the crazy home run numbers like we had in in the early 50s in PT23.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Doesn't. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say, with the walk rates this high and the strikeouts being somewhat low, you know, I wouldn't ignore stuff, but it's not the most important. I think that control is going to be pretty important. I don't think you're going to want, other than maybe like a random filler bullpen arm. I don't think you're going to want guys with really bad home run suppression. But then pitcher BAFIP is going to play off really well. So um,
So
I'm not sure.
one thing that in the Discord, I think, or in the preview stream, I think it was Marcus who said, they're adjusting the run environment for, the modern day. And one thing that kind of jumps out at me is like the default engine seems to be like way more aggressive in terms of stolen bases if you look at the comparison, and they're bad at it.
Yeah,
It's a little uh, it's a little surprising. I haven't I like this is the first time I've taken a look at PT23 data between PT24 and seen, like, I'll probably want to do this again for some other format where we have a lot more data from the 24 engine, but man, that's a lot of stolen base attempts.
yeah. It's a lot
And
of stolen base attempts and just an atrocious success rate. I mean, again, we're talking about iron cards in one tournament, so um, one they're probably not facing. I can't. I guess there are some pretty good iron catchers in terms of Freehand and Zunino and Hedges and things like that people could be playing. Oh, not obviously not Zunino and Hedges, but Freehand and Al Lopez would be um, uh,
the 1955 do not touch their sliders at all. Potentially, this is, and even then, this was like a sample from earlier in the year when I think I played it or Aster played it. But yeah,
yeah. I don't think I've played this yet, so
it must have been from
probably
mine. But yeah, this is oof. It is kind of interesting, the zone rating neutralization and base running seems to be the weighting for some of the, I guess, the base running events seem to be either improved. So yeah, this is I thought this was like an eye opening to see, 45 points lower BABIP. However, Woba's still the same. Um, doubles somewhat suppressed, but triples being fixed. So, like, I guess more people scoring from second, and or more people getting runs on sac flies. I guess to give. And that's why the UBR is higher.
yes, yeah.
Just I don't know. The we've now played in the PT24 tournament run environment now for what, like 5 weeks now, I think.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I'm still surprised by this. That's kind of neat. So yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to kind of talk about. So modern versus 1953 base game strategic tendencies, and I think like to some of, I think Isadafo and Mr. Black and all those guys. So um, this is on the base game when you go to stats and AI for a league, and you on the left hand side there's a drop down where you can select different uh, you can select different uh, strategies basically for the year. And so I think this is how the game engine uh, by default will try to run the game. So on the left hand side is the modern, and so just going through it, you'd like relief pitchers get hooked really quickly, starting pitchers don't. Relievers get used way more often, and closers get used very often in modern. And modern here is 2010, but you can see
Okay.
that for 1953, the use of relievers is normal now. This is like a subjective label on top of some sort of objective result. So, but I think this is how the engine knows to let pitchers stay longer, or one of the things. I'd imagine if you like we're gonna run 1953 and change it use of relievers to extreme. If you were gonna do some base game sim moduling stuff, you would get very interesting or very different results. Um, Other things, pitcher stamina low is in modern and high is in 1953, which that goes back to previous slide where you can kind of see the pitch counts are way higher. Um, Not a lot of pinch hitting for position players in modern, which I thought was kind of strange. I wouldn't have thought that, but I guess like in 2010, it was I guess the beginning of kind of sabermetrics, but even then I would have imagined there'd been a lot more platooning and things along those lines. So um, stealing bases rarely, hit and run. I wonder if we go back and we look like could this number the 24 .6 is just like uh could it be that like everyone's just hit and running? The K per nine isn't that high, so you'd imagine the balls would
Right.
be in play. But yeah,
That's a reasonable guess.
um, yeah, hit and run is often, bunting is often, so there might be some value in getting guys with like max or like high bunt for hit, and then infield shifts. Now this is kind of interesting that I was kind of thinking about is like when infield shifts are rarely done, and you max your infield shift slider. I think like previously people in the past I've heard advice where in historical areas you don't want to infield shift as much. You don't want to shift in general as much. I haven't done exhaustive research into it, and I've played around with it. And I've had like mixed results and stuff, but usually I've just often like +3, +4, +5 to both infield and outfield shifts. But it's kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
I've generally not adjusted my shift sliders for uh for the era. It's not something that you know I've I haven't really I haven't dug too deeply into it, but I just kind of uh you know decided that I was just going to go with the same way every time, which might just be a laziness thing more than anything else. But I don't feel like I've noticed any issues with regard to it.
Yeah, and
Now,
and and then the catcher framing impact, which is uh,
does that mean that that framing has more impact in the modern than in 1953? That's
w-
four.
uh,
I was
yes.
trying to understand the.
That's my understanding. I don't know. I haven't.
Okay.
I just like I can't. This came to me like a couple hours before the stream, and I was like, it would be good to look at this because I remember um, going through it. Sporer actually, he did a video on setting up a league recently on his YouTube. I got through about half of it, but I think he did talk about this, so
Okay.
might go back and look at that. So yeah, so that's it from the presentation side. Um, so yeah, now let's kind of dig into some really bad predictions. So based off of those, based off of that one tournament, uh, this is some really bad predictions. But everyone, this is for gold. So again, I guess the gold cap was what, like 18.6, so it's more like an
Yeah.
open. Um, so yeah, let's look at some cards, I guess.
Okay.
Starting at catcher, Cliff Johnson, who I think a lot of people ran Hoyles originally, but I think overall Cliff Johnson's ending up being a lot more because he's a little bit better VR. Like
Right.
you don't have to
Well, but I
platoon.
mean, the bat. I think the bat is close enough that I think you still are going to lean towards Hoyles just because of that huge difference in defensive ability.
Yeah,
Um,
but then you go down and there's Dietz and I guess you could drop down the tennis as well if you're gonna go Hoyles tennis, which I think is just like typical gold cap platoon ish that have been pretty
right.
loose. So to state more about how these projections are done, so this is using the weekly gold left hand right hand ratios, but it's using the data from the low iron to project the rates and stuff. So they I think all the projections were like in the 70s range ish. So it's not like the worst. Um, yeah, you heard
Well,
me, Mr. Prentice Brown.
and ultimately, I think looking at this, I think with anything with projections, you got to look at the projections that you come up with, and then you got to kind of have the experience of playing in these tournaments in different eras and stuff. And this looks like pretty close to the list. I would have made up with some differences at the margins and a few guys that maybe I wouldn't have thought of that perform maybe a little bit better. So I think this passes the eye test, and um,
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who are like, if it's not dead ball, then just play modern. And a lot of the
yeah,
times, like,
yeah, I don't see anybody on this list that I wouldn't have been planning to play in modern. Um,
so, yeah. So Howard, Ortiz, Cassis, Cassis still being ridiculous, but not as ridiculous VL. Now in
right.
second base, I'm filtering on I think like 90 infield range, but if we get rid of it, you can kind of see like play Bill Joyce at second.
Right.
Uh,
Don't play don't play Edward Julian at second. I don't think um, that
don't
range is pretty
yeah,
atrocious.
but like if you want to go super glove first, now don't look at the actual WRC values. It just kind of take it as a generic ranking. But in terms of the actual value, like this is based off of the iron data. So Max Bishop is a 137 uh, or whatever 37% better than the average iron batter. So and then I guess continuing along, you could play Cassis at third. I didn't know Cassis played third. Um,
I did not. I'm not sure I realized that either. Um,
I think I have that set. Yeah, Cassis plays third.
okay.
He has a big infield arm. So yeah, he could be your third baseman if you're so lucky, or you can sell him for 500K or whatever he's going for now.
I think he went for 100K, and that was only one of them. I think a lot more sold in the 20 to 30,000 range, but definitely a popular card at the moment. Um,
Bill Hall again.
shortstop. Oh,
if we
because you have the range high. Okay.
yeah. So
Um,
if you want to drop down, you can
Schmidt would
play
be the
Schmidt,
strongest bat.
Vern Stevens. If you want a little, oh, if you don't have Mike Schmidt, you can play Vern Stevens.
Sure.
If you want to get really crazy and go like 95, uh, go up to Ron Hansen or drop down to Woody Held. Uh,
Yeah, I don't
Probably
think you need to do that. I mean, you could probably maybe do somebody like held as a bench bat, but I
that
think you're better off using. I think all these extra points you have. I think you're better off using the Mitchell platoons.
yeah. It like both Long and Held. They're both they just play short, right?
Right. Yeah. So
So
they're
so you can
not going to be
platoon
able to
them,
back them up.
right? And
You
then
could,
yeah, and then
but you could also platoon somebody like, um, Schmidt with Held, and then that way, you can have Held come in as a defensive replacement at the end of the game for Schmidt, if you want to do it that way.
23 Vern was very good. I would really like to have 23 Vern in 24.
I think
Uh,
that's this is going back to what we were talking about before. It's interesting that Mitchell is the best bat for this format, especially BL. And I don't know if you want to play him in that 40 range or 43 range.
I'm gonna bet
In
it's
left
gonna
field.
be his walk rate. Uh, let's see. Throw a walk rate on here. No, his walk rate isn't that big. I don't know then. Uh, let's see. Let's see how bad this model is. Home run. Uh, Projected home runs VR. No, I don't remember what I named the field. Is this one? Well, it still has him hitting 48 home runs, which may or may not actually be
48 home runs per 600 plate appearances.
yeah.
That
I guess
impressive.
it's 162 games, so yeah.
Okay.
That's probably why. Even if it
Right.
is low, like someone has to hit that one home run per game, and I guess if you play Kevin Mitchell, it's going to be him. Um, and then again, center field, depending how high you want to go for range, you can just play Hack, Lieber, Bob, Berger, Sosa, or if you want to kind of get crazy, in terms of glove, 85, you got Weimer and Royce Lewis. Uh, Bob's Burgers. Hack loves Dong. Tommy Aggie. And then if you kind of
Aging.
Agee, if you want to go higher, you got Cy Seymour, Gutierrez. A Cy Seymour Gutierrez platoon in center. That seems kind of interesting. Could buy that. No Bob's Burger at short. I've never gotten a buy in the semifinal of the tournament before. What is going on?
I'm playing Seawit, so I'm teasing him.
Oh, you got through you got past
Yeah.
the sandwich.
Yeah. So the semifinals are set. It's um, I'm playing Seawit, and then Space Pope is playing the Value City Viffers.
Oh, the Value City Viffers. So yeah, and then right field, like let's try to have some sort of semblance of outfield in here. So we're looking at like Sosa or Stan, Elijah Green, or again that Joy Weimer. Why? Yeah, I'm gonna not stop trying to pronounce it. All E6 finals. You two can now share the experience of a later than first round bye. Ooh. And then if you just kind of want to look at bats, what? Why is this not showing up? That's weird. Did I mess something up?
It was earlier.
There we go.
Okay.
Excel is not happy. Uh, you know, if you've played Gold at all, you kind of this is um,
yeah, these aren't surprising names. I mean, I guess some of the future legends, I haven't really. Um,
Gorman Thomas, Edward Juilliard. So there's still some value, I, even though you don't really need any for this format. Um, Curtis Mead, I think our friend Charles didn't like Curtis Mead. Um,
yeah, I think I like Mead a good bit better than Charles did. But Mead, I think suffers from the problem not that it's necessarily a bad card. It's a hard. I find it a hard card to fit into a lineup because especially in this format with that he doesn't uh, he you don't have a DH. I think there are better options at first base. Uh, you know, if you have him, uh, Cassis or Howard uh, 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 or Ortiz, but then I don't think his defense is good enough to play him at third base, where he'd be a really strong option. So yeah, I think it's a good card, but this is going to be a tough spot to fit it into without having a DH in there.
but if you pull your pitchers sooner, he can probably pinch hit like once a game
Yeah, but I just that's still a lot of points to
for a designated
for,
pinch hitter.
for a designated pinch hitter. I mean, you could do you don't have to slide down that far to Gorman Thomas and have him as a designated pinch hitter and backup
Or
center fielder.
Edward is better. Oh no, Edward. Yeah, depends. Depends.
Yeah.
Depends. 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 So yeah, going now to pitchers. The cutoff for what I call a pitcher is 50 stamina. So come in here. Gary Peters. Part of this is probably due to the VL split, and I guess if we go and look at the gold ratio, um, you're facing you're facing 68%, but or is that 69? No, it's 68. 68%. So even though this VR is not the best, that VL is just absolutely obnoxious. And then you get a no more balanced card. Frank Owen, who's a great card. Jessup, I haven't really seen him as much.
No, I haven't seen him used as much. They normally I'd shy away from the 62 stamina, but in this in this era, I think you'll be fine. You might want to lower the pitch count from 160 to something a little bit less. Make sure you have some some functional arms in the bullpen.
So Slim Jones is almost a hitter. He's half a hitter.
Hmm.
No, X1. This is just me messing around with stuff. I don't really make my sheets public. Your best bet is just to kind of take screenshots. I'm not as cool. Basically, my work is super sloppy, and I don't want people to see how sloppy it is. Uh, I'm an engineer by trade, so more like get something working instead of get something right. Uh, but yeah,
Okay, so that's a nice point for using going with Slim Jones. Is that you're not it's not a complete zero from your um, uh, what was I going to say? Oh, to have something of a bat is nice. It looks like Slim Jones, Lady Baldwin, um, Bill Drake. Looks like it. Not surprising that they Negro League players, would have something with that. Um, so you might want to lean a little bit more towards those guys. Looks like George Winter. Um,
Johnny Antonelli.
ooh,
He
yeah.
may
So
he, he may
to
sneeze at the ball and get a hit.
Yeah, to Prentice Brown's point, I do think that the left right split is a little bit thrown off, but still, you look, there's a lot of lefties at the top of this list. Kuzman, Vita Blue, Antonelli, Slim Jones. Um, so I do think you're going to see a decent amount of left-handed pitchers.
Because if we look at just righties, you got Owen, Jessup, Bryn Smith, Hudson. And then lefties, you got Peter, Jones, Antonelli. Like even Vita Blue isn't that bad, I don't think. Like I can bring up whatever projected walk rate. Where was the walk rate? I think this one.
Neil Arm Davis.
Oh no, I want it the other way.
Yeah, well, I mean, so Prentice Brown, the idea of what Exto does with this is it's taking into account that Vita Blue, doesn't have the control, but still rates pretty highly given his other ratings. That I think you could probably get away with them. If you're kind of deciding between some of these options, I'd lean towards the guys with better control than Vita Blue, but I do think he's somewhat viable.
So
Um,
so even then, like you look and the walk rate for guys like Baldwin and Jones, they're pretty high.
so this is walk rate as a hitter, you're saying?
Is that the walk rate as a hitter, or is that walk rate as a batter? Oh,
Well,
good
batter and hitter
question.
is the same thing.
Yeah, no, that you're right. Whoopsie. Uh,
So yeah, let's clarify what exactly we're
this
talking about,
is
because that's as a pitcher,
this is walks per 200
right?
innings pitch.
That makes sense because
Okay.
Newhouser you see is a disaster and score. Um,
Yeah.
so Vita Blue has higher walk rate, but it doesn't look like a disaster. Whereas Newhouser and Score, who definitely would be normal, strong gold pitchers, wouldn't be viable. Rich Hill. That's interesting to see. So was the first one that you showed, was that their walk rate
As a
as a
batter.
batter?
Yeah, that was there as a
Well, that's
batter.
interesting to see that's where their
The value is coming
hitter
from.
value is that they would draw walks.
Yeah.
Um,
So, and then if we kind of like look at whatever, let's see what else I have in P200. What other rates do I have? P200 home runs. Like if we just kind of look at their FIP-ish stuff. P200. Do I have Ks here? Do I call it something
took
else?
10 innings, but I beat
Oh, I don't even
Seawood
look
in
at it.
game one.
You, congratulations.
Thank you.
And then all I have is their. I don't actually count their strikeouts because I don't care about how many Ks per 200, just what their rate is.
Right.
So this one, we can make that colorful. This one. So if we want to kind of evaluate how bad this model is. So even though Vita Blue walks a lot, he's still striking out 17% of the people. Herb Score is striking out 20. But if we just kind of looking at everyone, they're not really striking out people. They're not walking people, and they're basically leveraging the low bat up. So that's where like a guy like Gary Peters, he's just trusting his defense to suck up every ball.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think if you build around like some of these top guys, Peters, Jones, Frank Owens, just something that aren't getting strikeouts. Brent Smith would be another example. And Tim Hudson. If you just went with those five, I think you would want to make sure um, make sure that you have some solid defense, backing that up. Um,
Thanks,
I think you'd be
Isadafo.
able to,
I have a buy order up for Slim Jones. Once I saw this, I was like, oh, I should probably invest in a Slim Jones. Oh,
Somebody sell poor Slim Jones.
please. Let's see. Do I still have? Did someone beat my buy order? No, it's still there. So if you wanted to be a generous soul, um, Bill Drake, yeah, yeah. Because I'd imagine what you'd get at least two plate appearances a start. I'd imagine, right?
I'm sorry.
Uh, two plate appearances for each pitcher. Well, yeah, I guess. I
Yeah,
guess for this they might
you know,
actually like get
I think you have
four
to
to
assume,
five.
yeah, probably three or four, because unless they're getting absolutely hammered, a lot of these guys are going to go deep into games pretty consistently. I mean, I guess if you're depending on how you set up your sliders, could be a big factor. If you've got the pinch hit for the pitcher, slider jacked up, and you've got uh, quick hooks on your starters, you might lower that a little bit. Um, and try and squeeze out a few extra pinch hit at bats, and then use your bullpen a little bit more. Um, and as Isadolfo is mentioning, if you do go with the strategy of two starting pitchers, so they're only facing 18 batters, they're probably going around 4 innings. In which case, probably max two plate appearances, and then you're using pinch hitters and the bullpen, all along the rest of the back end of the game. Um, So Iraklis, you can't get away with two starting pitchers in 1953 if they're pitching the whole game. But if you only have them pitching the minimum of 18 batters faced, they should be able to recover to pitch every other day. And then you have to put some pitch counts. I'm not sure what the pitch counts would be for 1953. Probably somewhere in the low 60s. And then you basically have to know that you're getting 5+ innings out of your bullpen every game. So in a tight cap that doesn't work, but in a loose cap, um, you can definitely depend on the bullpen part.
Yeah, I would if you were going to try this, try it in some other tournaments and stuff. First, get a handle of it.
Okay.
It
So
sometimes
so
doesn't work.
apparently the pitch count is 68. Everybody, that's the official word. We're saying that the number is 68.
That's the
Um,
official number.
that's the
the
official number that I made up.
the officially made up number of 68 pitches to allow you to um, get
Yeah,
by
I
with
mean,
two SPs.
yeah,
So
and
yeah,
that it is frustrating that if you set up the tournament, like a couple days before, can't set up two starting pitchers, so you have to be around during the hour before the tournament fires to adjust that. Um, and so if you're going to be around, you can kind of build for that build and then just make the adjustment. If not, then I would go with three starting pitchers and build according to that. So um, I know I'm going to be at a baseball game that day, so uh, I will probably not be going with the two starting pitchers. I will go with three and hope for the best. Go ship for the win.
so on the stream, like Aster, you don't see this, but on the stream, I have the sheet kind of in the bottom right hand corner. So let's build a team. This is the open high cap. What is 1875? What's our cap here? I forget. 1953. So we can go a little bit over. Um, it's basically no cap. So for me, I typically like to start with my pitchers. So we're just gonna throw in an overall here at most 89. We're gonna save this and call it a gold cap. And we're gonna look at pitchers. And who do we want? We wanted Gary Peters because I'm not cool and have probably don't want any live cards and probably want starters. Home run rate? No. PBABIP? No. Gary Peters doesn't come up on any of these. Contact
Why don't you
stuff.
just start by overall then?
I guess I have to.
And he's
Gary
right there. He's an 87.
87. Gary Peters. So
Okay. Well, let's actually look at the card. So the stuff is not very good, but we're not that worried about that. The home run, he's a very splitty card as we went through. So this would not be my first choice because of the pretty wide splits. Um, I think that this is a card that grades out reasonably well, but I'm really worried about those splits, especially if you run into a team that runs a lot of right-handed bats against you. Uh,
so the top right-handed bats would be Mitchell, Hack, Lieber, Aaron, Cliff, Garver, Hoyles. It it does seem kind of weak,
yeah, that's interesting.
which I think is why um, it puts Peter so high. Because if I sort this by VL, descending VL, like and whatever, take the top. Oh no, I am taking the top by VL.
Okay, yeah. So there's not a there's still some pretty solid bats in there.
Yeah, Gorman Thomas. Like you're gonna get beat up by him. You're gonna get beat up by Edgar, who's you might see. But and then I guess even like Howard and Ortiz, like two guys you're probably gonna get. They're like high end VL guys,
Right.
anyways, right? Tommy you might not see, but I guess like could call yourself Shovel Gorman. So I guess taking a closer look at some of these other cards.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like Slim Jones. I feel like absolutely, if you have him,
Oh, Daily Low Diamond
oh,
Cap. That was
I feel like he's a definite. I mean, you may want to just put Peters in, and then that's your placeholder until you get a Slim Jones. Although this isn't really the tournament that you're entering. But I guess you're going to save the file. Um, but I just feel like that was a very pretty neutral splits, and otherwise the home run suppression's a little worse, but the PBAPIP's better, control's really good, um, and to have something of a bat. Um,
yeah, the contact, the 54i, and he could play the field if you want to rotate
I,
him out. I
in a
guess,
loose
but
cap like
I
that,
don't
it
know.
really
Yeah, it doesn't
really is
matter.
not important. But
So yeah, Slim Jones looks like a good
yeah,
card. It'd be if I wish I had him so we could do side by side. Even though the side by side comparisons are kind of broken this year. So let's look at some of these other cards. Frank Owen. Probably gonna put Frank Owen on the team. Uh, what is he? He's an 81. Uh, so again, kind of splitty. Reverse splits, which is neat. Dahigo? Oh, for the silver floor. Yeah, it's kind of like or Digo. Terrible at pronunciation. Um, they don't have his pitching, but yeah, that's a good bet. Uh,
I use him in the low cap, and it's a pretty solid. He's not quite as good at. He's not he's not up to like the full level for for a 100 starting pitcher, but he's pretty good. And then to have that level of bat, so for a tight cap like the silver cap, Um, I think that would be an interesting option to
Now,
have it to use it two-way.
do I go to Antonelli and to get his 20 WRC plus, or do I drop down to Baldwin to get the 50?
Uh, well, remember, I think it's important that when you're dropping down, like these numbers aren't that crazy far apart.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it, the way you have it set up deceives a little bit that like the color shades down, but it's not really that huge of uh, a drop. So
Yeah, Baldwin
this is
just looks like a better hitter.
yeah, but let's you want to compare the batting to or the pitching to? Sorry.
Yeah, this one's a lot harder to kind of evaluate because movement is just movement here.
Right. Yeah. It's not. You're that. Now I remember why you were saying that. Okay. Yeah. So um, let's look at the individual cards then to look at the backup and then
Like it's 75, 76.89,
yeah,
and then
not very splitty. Um,
and
Great hold
then
runners, although I'm not sure that that's the most important thing.
and then
Um, I,
Lady Baldwin was the other one.
yeah.
A little bit more splitty, maybe, or it's just 91 and 92, and the color changes, so it messes with your eyes.
Right.
Uh, I'll probably just do three. We'll see. Maybe I'll do two. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree in general that I would want to make that decision. Because which guys you want to use. You know, do you want to go with two lefty starters to go into a bunch of right-handed relievers or vice versa? Um, that's that. But let's assume that we're building for three and then go from there.
I'll probably go with Baldwin for now,
Okay.
just to get the three in. Uh, and then around the horn, uh, probably Hoyles, probably Tennis. I, People say building is if well the meta is kind of stale, and so building teams is kind of stale, and at points it kind of seems like that.
Yeah, I mean that it is interesting. There are a lot of different formats right now that everybody's playing, but it is a lot of the very same cards, regardless of format. So except when you get back to like 1919, 1921, do you really have to make big adjustments? Um, but and also especially in a crazy loose cap like this, you're really not making choices for the most part. So it's just really what cards do you have, and then figuring out a good a good kind of fit for them. Um, and the nice thing with given the fact this is a pretty loose cap, I think you can do Mitchell here and then have a better defensive left fielder,
Right.
um, you know, on the others, with him. Um, I don't. You wouldn't really necessarily want to platoon Mitchell because he's a pretty darn good hitter in both ways. Um, but I don't know. That's a tough call whether you want to use that bat, um, given how bad the glove is.
Do I not have a Max Bishop? I thought I did. I wanted to play a Max Bishop. Oh, I don't have a Max Bishop. I don't have enough for a Max Bishop. Uh,
It's practically,
Practically free.
yeah.
So if we sort, I guess I, I guess I'll run a Jamie Carroll. Uh, oh, Ripley's online. Perfect. Um, maybe we'll do Javi. We'll play some Javier Baez, or I could put. I have one card that I was trying to sell for a lot. Yeah, let's play Tovar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're gonna go crazy here. We're gonna play
Okay.
Tovar. Wait, no, not this Tovar. The other Tovar. Click the this Tovar. Here we go.
Guys, I'm gonna say this quietly so Exto doesn't hear me. Don't play either Tovar.
No,
I, I, I don't think I like that Tovar.
apparently he's not very good.
No.
Wait. Maybe if I filter this by 94, maybe he'll show up. There we go. He's.
There we go. He's the second best 94 plus range second baseman.
I wonder if it's just. It's like the. Yes, it is.
No,
That's why it's so hard.
it's Nafo. Come on, it is the best 94 plus range second base feature legend second baseman, and that's who is going to be the cornerstone of Exo's team.
I'd rather like. I should just play Jamie Carroll. Just pay the 3 points.
Probably
Or I should drop down and play Bob.
Bob Ferguson.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. I
I
don't
don't
know.
what I mean in this cap. I don't. I think if if the question starts with should I drop down, the answer is almost always going to be no.
Always no.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Okay. We're done with that conversation now. Uh,
I was having some fun with that conversation, but we'll move on.
not great, Bob. Who third base has been a bit like I've played Tommy a lot. Um, I guess you could do Tommy Batista platoon. Just sort by
Yeah.
power. Hmm.
I mean,
There's
ideally, I'd like to have some better defense. Because remember, again, a lot of the pitchers we picked uh, don't get very many strikeouts. Don't let up a lot of home runs. They're gonna,
yeah.
have balls in play. I think you want some semblance of defense at most positions, and you know, Tomei for me is like kind of just below what I would want, but I do use him.
Well, we
I
can
don't
do
know.
Schmidt as well and just play him both ways. He's got reverse splits, right?
Yeah,
And then for shortstop, I wish I had the Spencer Steer card. No, we're gonna go Uber range.
Overrange.
Ron Hansen,
Okay.
Super Dave Ron Hansen. He's gonna be good. Um, I wonder about someone like Baker in this. I'm playing Baker in, or I was playing Baker in League. He's probably fine. I'll probably platoon Baker and Schmidt maybe. I think that's a good call. Um, if we can find Mr. Baker. So we got our first platoon, the Baker, well, the Baker Schmidt platoon. Cause yeah, that card looks good.
Yeah.
That's a good card. And he's like roughly uh
Not a butcher at third.
he's not a butcher, he's a baker.
Yeah.
And then left field, we're gonna throw Mitchell on there. Uh Left field, we're gonna throw some Mitchell in there. And then Strang. We haven't seen Strang anywhere. I feel like everyone loves Strang. But even when I look here, I don't really see him.
That's interesting.
Let's go 100. Is Strang in the top 100? Oh, right. I'm sorting by BL, that's why.
Okay.
If I switch this to descending. Wait, no. That's not what I wanted. I wanted value top. Oh. Yeah, where is Strang in here? Strang. So he's 30th? But for the positional versatility,
Yeah. But I mean, compare him to where were you planning on playing him? Not just like
No,
I have to get
nowhere.
Strang in there.
Just like,
Nowhere,
just as like my super
just to have
utility.
him.
Yeah.
I'd rather like figure out a spot where he fits into. The nice thing about his versatility is to think of him as he plays full time, platooning with
Mm.
two platoon bats.
Oh, here we go. I can play him in left field.
Okay, but
Although
platoon
I'd
him in Wally
probably
Burger.
uh, Wally Burger is better
No,
overall.
oh yeah, no. So you wouldn't want to.
Yeah, if I wanted to do like Swisher, but yeah, there's no point. It looks like I should just play like Burger and left. Sammy Zobrist. Uh, yeah, so we'll play Burger and left. Surprised Stan's not there, but I guess maybe I'm cutting him off. No, he should be. He just doesn't like Stan. Oh no, there he is. Okay, so we're gonna do Burger and left. And then we're gonna do the Cy Seymour Franklin Gutierrez special. Cy Seymour and Franklin Gutierrez special. We are still way under the cap.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
this is this is even you had in an 1875 cap. You have
I know.
uh, another 78 points above this.
If you have silvers, you earned, but they're so good. Frankly, good. I've generally been playing Strang at second base and just taking the bad defense. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I've heard some stuff about second base, and I want to play defense there. I
Okay.
haven't been doing. It's probably not. I've probably overemphasizing it, but yeah, I probably what I'll probably do is I'll probably play Strang and then put someone in, do some D subs. If I can find Strang. There we go. Uh, and then right field, um, Sosa and Stan. Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. Sosa and Stan the man. Usual. We are still way over the cap. Uh,
But we haven't put in any bullpen arms in yet.
sure. I could probably upgrade from Gene Tennis to someone. Uh,
Probably.
who do we have? I could put Cliff Johnson in.
There you go.
Yeah. And then we got everything covered with Mr. Cliff. Where does Chipper end up? Chipper is good. Um, where does Chipper end up on the sheet here? Good question. It's weird. I don't see him. No, let's sort
You
by
have him under Larry.
Larry Chipper.
There he is.
He's 12th. But yeah, he's like the whatever third best VL behind Curtis Mead. So yeah, it's probably worthwhile to throw Chipper Shovel in there.
I don't know. With that
You know,
defense,
oh, as like a VL? No, yeah, I guess you're right.
yeah.
I'm gonna be stuck playing Mike Schmidt, who's actually worse. I guess.
Well, you
I
can
guess
play
I could do
Schmidt
like
versus right, and then there's some other guys that you could. I guess that
Jimmy.
might be the play: is Schmidt be right and Chipper be left.
Well,
But
yeah, but his defense.
his defense is bad. I don't know who else you would play at third base. Uh,
Well, because I was running Baker, but Baker VR, like even Rosen. There's so many like weird reverse splits in this, and it's kind of
yeah, that doesn't work for very well for platooning.
because like that is not the worst. I would say the arm is kind of frightening. in the infield. The error is
Yeah,
frightening.
I in 1953, I'm I'm hesitating to put somebody like that on my team.
Like it's still 9 errors per season, so
Yeah,
which I forget if I go and look at modern. Modern was is about modern.
right.
It looks like in terms of the error
Well,
rate.
and also, but remember the point is that with the strikeouts being lower, the BABIP may be low, but there's still going to be a lot more balls in play,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
so there's still going to be a lot of chances for your fielders, and you know that's where I think you want to have some defense to protect you.
All right, who's the top fielding third baseman? Let's go by position ratings. Let's just see who this is. Tommy Thevnow,
uh, no, uh,
Ollie Beard.
no. Why are
Uh,
these all low iron cards?
yeah, Mike Schmidt is the best.
Mike Schmidt. Okay. Well, we're going with Mike Schmidt.
I guess I could do Greg. Well, no, not really.
No.
Well, who are we looking for? We're looking for a VL bat.
Yeah.
So okay, so if we just randomly say whatever 87, we come in back here and we say what is his arm? 102. That's crazy. Um, let's say we want someone with like I don't know 80 arm. Yeah, and it's like Baker, who's worse VL. Jimmy Fox. So it looks like we're gonna get Foxy in here.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, I miss PT23, all the versions of Jimmy Fox.
this Fox can catch too, right? This is like the superior
Uh,
Fox.
yes, the Fox and
Because the PT23 Fox couldn't catch, or could he? I forget.
no, not that I remember. No, the low diamond one couldn't.
Yeah. How bad is Fox in the Gold Quicks? Like bad, bad? He could pitch too if you in a pinch. let, me, let me just hide this. There, look at those pitching ratings.
If you
Uh,
pitch him, you'd have the best hitting pitcher in the game.
okay, so I think this is enough pitchers, or
You mean
enough
hitters?
catchers. Yeah,
No catcher.
enough catchers. We're at 1880. What's the
Okay.
cap again? 100.
1953. So we have
Like
73 points to work with for the bullpen.
that's like one pitcher, right? Uh,
Um,
let's take a look at some of these relievers.
yeah, that's basically one max.
So this wants me to throw in a Braden Looper or or hold on, let me add starters in here too. Wilcie Moore.
See, yeah, that's a name to go with.
We're gonna go with a Wilcie Moore. Starting pitchers. Reverse sort by stamina. Wilcie Moore. What are we at? 1928. So we got what? 30 points now?
What did you say the number was?
Isn't it 19 or is it 1953, right? So
1953 is the number.
we have 25 points. So we could the next best pitcher is a less than 65, 64, 65. Oh, we could put Dave McNally in. Everyone's favorite pitcher, Dave McNally.
But then you're going with 40 overalls for the rest of your bullpen.
Rand McNally? I don't know who Rand McNally is. You think they're gonna pitch? Like
No.
this is with three starting pitchers, right? So
Yeah.
um all pitchers. Sometimes I hate this view.
You passed him like 3 times.
Yeah, it's late. Okay, so we're at 1952. So now we can go and look at 41. John Cumberland. I love it. Uh, this is how I pick my pitchers. John Cumberland. And then we got Connor Siebold and CJ Nitkowski.
Oh, the staples.
Yeah. Oh, let's throw all of them in. And who else do we have? Colin Snyder. There we go. It's the winning PTCS gold roster. I have way too many pictures. Why do I have 9 pictures? I can just drop one.
You could leave him in there. Oh no, wait, you don't like that.
No, I, I like to be efficient. I'd rather throw in a Frank Baker. I'd rather throw in 2 more bats.
Okay.
Uh, throw in a Mike Tyson. And where's my Frank Chance? Here we go. Winning roster. Will Seymour. I wonder, like, long relief? For something like this, do you prefer to put long relief for them all, or do you prefer to put middle relief?
I put in middle relief. The one thing you don't want to do in this with the 3 starters is you don't want to put anybody at stopper, because it'll pull a starter who's pitching well, who's nowhere near their pitch count. Um, if it finds a situation where it thinks stop, like where it fits the stopper criteria. And so, even though Will Seymour is a guy I want to use as a stopper, I just put him usage option use more often, although it'll go to him the most often because he's by far the best pitcher. But yeah.
So I guess something like this. And then if we're looking at pitch counts, Lady Baldwin, give them like 170. Frank Owen, 170. And then what's some made up number for 85 in 1958? Give him like 142. We'll say 150.
Right. I mean, Peters is sort of a placeholder for Slim Jones anyway, so you're probably changing it, but
Hopefully I can get a Slim Jones.
yeah, I have faith.
I have faith. So Hoyles, man, there needs to be a we can probably hide this. There needs to be a fourth or a third utility slot here.
To cover all your catchers.
Yeah, because there's there's no DH, so I have to get these guys out of the way. Strang at second. Oh man, that infield range is so gnarly. Yeah, this kind of all looks decent. Yeah, Wally Burger. Oh, was it a Burger? Yeah, I think I wanted Burger and Strang in right or left.
Here's Mitchell play.
Off the bench, designated pinch hitter.
The best hitter in the format you want as a pinch hitter. Okay.
I guess well, hopefully I can just play him in left, and hope that
Battery low.
Uh-oh, battery's low. Yeah. View, we'll save this. Ooh-wee. Kinda a lot of righties.
Second thought: this team does not have enough Tovars on it.
It's because I'm doing the Gutierrez. I think I'm a little inundated with the second utility. We're gonna get rid of these second utility guys. I thought Fox was gonna play third. Who's gonna play my second Who's gonna platoon and? Oh, I was gonna play Howard both ways. Hmm. I guess I play Howard both ways. Or I could play. How's Howard's defense? Awful. Maybe I shouldn't play Howard. Maybe I should play Ortiz. Drop down. Then we could add another gold pitching arm.
Okay, I like it. Maybe Bill Drake.
Bill Drake? I
I
don't
don't
have
know.
a Bill Drake.
Well,
That's another card I don't have.
that's another card you don't have. Okay,
No, my gold binder is a little
a little thin.
sparse. I would say it's sparse. It's not
Okay,
necessarily thin. I have a bunch of gold cards. I just don't have some of the cornerstone
you just
cards.
don't have the good ones.
I have some extra lax gold, like I lack diamonds. Like, look, I got the Stan Musial card. Uh,
Um,
I don't think we're gonna get any further with this. I guess let's start wrapping it up. We have to raid into the Oriole guy. Um,
oh, oh no.
see
Okay.
if we can hack his account again somehow. Who is streaming? Is he the only one streaming? Uh, Ripley, yeah, he's got two. It's gonna be so funny. Uh, so yeah, any last words? Any
Um,
any any final advice?
so yeah, I mean, if you're building for these tournaments, start with kind of the, if it's a loose, start thinking about, the loose cap versus the tighter caps. You know, I agree with this, Adolfo. Figure out first when you're building your pitching staff, if you're going to be around and you want to set the two starting pitchers, with the pitch counts, and then to go into a strong bullpen, or if you just want to go with three strong starters and expect that they're going to pitch most of the game, and then maybe just have a couple of decent bullpen rooms, um, and then build from there. Um, you know, Again, given the format, um, there are going to be some, still a decent amount of home runs, but it's not the most important thing. Um, Stuff is, strikeouts are diminished, so stuff is less important as well. But you really want to look for pitchers that have strong pitcher BABIP and control, to limit the number of hitters. And then also the advantage of that is, um, uh, if you, if you do let up some home runs, at least if they have good control and good pitcher BABIP, they're not going to be letting up 3-run home runs, grand slams. They're going to be letting up more solo shots. So keep you in the game, because there are going to be runs scored, uh, and you don't want to minimize the damage. So I think that's basically it. Uh, just one thing before we go. If we're going to be coming up with a new Tournament Lab format soon, don't know exactly when we're going to switch over. Maybe in another week or two. But we're going to try and figure out a new format very soon, and get approval of that from OCE. So if you have ideas that you'd like to see for a format, either an era, um, or a specific card type, or anything like that, or a whole package of all the factors, shoot me a DM or Xdo. Let us know, and we'll kind of play around with some ideas and come up with something the next one. Um, and we're required by law to change it, so that Seawit doesn't do too well. And Other than that, I think that's it for tonight. You got any last thoughts, Exto?
I'm gonna pull 3 Atlee Hammockers with my 2 packs here.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, I got a Josh Naylor. Is Josh Naylor going to go up?
Uh, Probably not.
Is he going to remain a gold?
Uh, Probably not.
So I should just take the 1287, the 1275.
I think so.
Okay. Oh, now I can buy. Now, what was that gold card I wanted?
Oh, Max Bishop.
Max Bishop. Yes, there we
Now you
go.
can afford Max Bishop.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah, excellent.
Okay.
All right, and the
Well,
next
and
card.
when you pull an Atlee Hammaker now, you can afford a couple hundred Max Bishops.
All right, and not a lot.
There are
Okay,
no.
no Max Bishops or no
If you
Atlee
That
Hammakers.
would be phenomenal if you just pulled the Max Bishop.
I wanted whatchamacallit, the other card, um, Slim Jones. I could put it towards Slim Jones. Uh, okay. No. I hope this was somewhat helpful. It's not this. Is it this weekend? It is this weekend. This
It is this
upcoming
weekend.
weekend. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah, the weekend after.
good luck to everyone. It's gonna be interesting having 10 times the formats because of what it was. What like it was only four, right? Last year it was the
Yeah, it's
daily,
four.
weekly, and two perfect drafts, and now it's 10. So I feel
So
like
that's 2.5 times the formats rather than 10 times the formats. I would think the engineer of the group
it's
would
off by a
be
factor
well
of one, so it's okay.
oh, okay. That's allowed.
I'm not building any bridges, so it's okay.
Okay, good to know.
We can just patch it. It's fine. Um, yeah. So yeah, thanks everyone for sticking out. Appreciate all the feedback. Hope this was useful. And yeah, good luck this weekend or this upcoming weekend. So um, we are going to join our friend Ripley the Oriole. And yeah, have a good night. Thanks everyone.
Good night.
Bye. Hack Ripley. Yep.